Good morning, everybody. We're gonna start, so I request everybody to be seated. Thank you. It is my honor to deliver the land acknowledgement today. We acknowledge with respect the land our campus is on today was and continues to be the homelands of the indigenous people of this area, the Nisim-Pavinan, Nisenan, and Miwok. The largest Sacramento area and its rivers serve as a gathering place for many local tribes from the surrounding valley and foothills, including the Southern Maidu, Patwin, and Vintun. We recognize the land and riverways as unceded traditional territories of these Native people. I further recognize these California Native nations and respect their sovereignty. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm a commitment to build relationships and foster a university environment of success to better serve Native nations and communities. Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to Spring 2026. I hope our newer resolutions are still fresh and going. Today, we enter a new chapter together. And I want to pause and take a moment to recognize the incredible work we have been doing past semester. From opening of the Village to Native American College and welcoming our largest incoming class since COVID in fall 2025, the largest graduating class of fall 2020 in the fall 2025, and also coming together when times were hard and we wanted to be there to support basic needs. Sac State truly showed what it means to be a hive. Our clubs, organizations, departments, deans, and alumni donated over 1,000 pounds of clothes and essential items to the Basic Needs Resource Center, with our alumni being the largest donors of the ASI Hornet Style Drive, highlighting the leaders, advocates, and change makers Sac State produces. And yes, of course, I did not forget about Combat U. We continued to thrive, winning our second historic MMA win and dominating all across disciplines. With initiatives like ASI and Combat U launching the historic free self-defense classes, with Dr. Wheeler starting the inaugural classes, Sac State continues to invest in student safety and success. To have a president and mentor who genuinely believes and invests in student endeavors is a true blessing. And now it is my honor to introduce one of our former ASI presidents, someone who exemplifies the power of Sacramento State to transform students into leaders who serve our community. Mayor Pro Tem Eddie Guerra earned both his bachelor's and master's degrees from Sac State, but his connection to our community runs deeper than a degree. He's a proud Hornet who credits our faculty, his experience in student government, and as a former CSU student trustee, and our alumni network for preparing him for public service. And he still draws on the lessons he learned here while he does his work every day at the Sacramento City Council. He actively mentors students and helps build networks that connect emerging leaders to opportunities. He understands that Sacramento State doesn't just graduate students, we create the region's future leaders and change makers. And the first thing he told me when I came into this role was, don't forget who runs the university, students. Now, please join me in welcoming a Hornet who turned his education into a complete powerhouse, our Sacramento City Council member and Mayor Pro Tem, Eddie Guerra.
Well, good morning, Hornets. Let's give Erin, our Madam President, a big round of applause here. And let me just say what an example our ASI president has been advocating for students, advocating to make sure that they have access to food, to education, and to housing, and to being present at our state capitol and our city hall. That leadership starts here at Sac State. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Erin. I'm here really to say thank you. I can never say thank you enough to a university that has not only changed my life, that changed so many people's lives. And every time I come here to the campus, we all have many challenges in our lives. But every time we come here to the campus, particularly at this day, it is a day that fills our cup. In our daily lives, we confront many challenges. And that sometimes takes away from our cup. But every time I step onto the campus, my cup becomes full. And it's because it's a place that creates hope and opportunity. This is one of the places, in fact, one of the very few places that I would say, not only in our country, but in the world, where someone who comes from poverty can achieve and become someone who may have not had family or parents or been a foster child can create community and family and achieve to become the president of a campus in a university. This is a place where someone who has ideas and creations can look for resources and bring it together to change the life for other people. I think back about the time and a deep gratitude when, a young farm working, a woman, a mother of three, was looking for an opportunity, a fourth grade education. And that person, was able to get an opportunity by a Sac State professor, Dr. Margarita Avila Gomez here, who helped her find a path through getting her general education, her GED, and starting in her college early childhood education degree at the age of 50 to start a new life. And that's from a Sac State professor right here. Let's give Dr. Margarita Avila Gomez a big round of applause. Those same faculty members, those same support service instructors are changing the way things are. Here at Sacramento State, we have an exciting new opportunities that are occurring. The idea of a downtown campus, a true downtown campus that will bring and galvanize the Capital Fellows programs, the Sac Semester Fellows program, that already have done so many amazing things. In fact, if it wasn't for the Sac Semester program, right now, we would have so many people that didn't have the advisors to lead our state. I would argue the person with the most influence in the state legislature right now is not only our trustee for the County Office of Education and president of the County Office Board, but also the chief of staff of the First Latina Senate Pro Temp and an alum of the Sac Semester program here by our faculty member, Dr. Jamie Jackson. Let's give her a big round of applause. All of these leaders that are being produced by Sac State, they're leading our state. They're in positions right now to direct where we go as a state, and as California goes, our country goes. So right now, more than ever, while I'm here to say thank you, it's a call to action for all of us today. This university is under attack. Higher education is under attack nationally. It's a time for us to pull together as we have as Hornets in the past and to remind people, particularly so close to our state capital, so close to many of our federal officials, that higher education is a critical point to not only creating hope and opportunity, but to moving our state forward, to addressing our economic challenges. We are so close here right now to many of those influencers. Many of them are our alums. It's time for us to go out there, ensure that education and instruction, that the funding that is out there goes directly to supporting our students, to instruction in the classroom, to support services, Many of our students, this is the first time they're going to college. So it is no surprise right now that we have to pull together as alumni to support each other as our university and to say, go Hornets with pride, and to make sure that we continue to fight for education. And because of that, we can continue to lead the way as a council member. And on behalf of the city of Sacramento, I'm very proud to be here to say thank you to Sacramento State. And with that, si se puede, and let's go Hornets. Now, I think someone else is coming up here to do the next introductions. But as they come up here, I'm going to filibuster and to say, I want to thank, right off the bat, our campus president. I appreciate the fact that it took a student leader to make sure that the student government also had a front seat at the table here on the front side. Sometimes we were in the back, but I appreciate that. Let's give another big round of applause for Dr. Luke Wood, everyone. Yes, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Gibbs, and I'm the Faculty Senate Chair. The last time you saw me on this stage introducing this person, I had known him for only a couple of months. On stage, I joked about university sneaker policies and did my best to offer an introduction focused largely on first-year accomplishments. It's been over a year and a half since then, and here I am again, reading another introduction speech, tentatively titled, "Another Speech He's Going to Have to Live Up To," semicolon, maybe this should be a Faculty Senate resolution. But in all seriousness, from my perspective as Faculty Senate Chair, I want to highlight a leadership trait that sets Dr. Luke Wood apart: his courage. Actually, there's one more quality that elevates him as a leader. He laughs at my jokes. Last fall, our president traveled with a delegation to South Africa to visit several high schools and speak with students about the possibility of attending Sacramento State. Although these schools are high achieving, they are located in communities of lower economic status, and, as I learned later, students there are keenly aware of the lasting effects of apartheid and what it has meant for their lives and opportunities. The delegation included 4 young Black men, students and employees of Sacramento State, who completely transformed what a typical admissions presentation looks like. At Pelindaba, Morris Isaacson, and the Umlazi high schools, they spoke not from a script, but from the heart. They spoke about hope, about dignity, and about what Sacramento State can offer them as students, for students like them. Their words and presence were so powerful that the leaders from the Gauteng province and KwaZulu began calling these young men the Young Lions. I wanted to share that story not only for the qualities we associate with lions, strength and courage, but also because I've had the privilege of getting to know the mentor behind these young men, Dr. Luke Wood. Nelson Mandela once said that courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to move forward despite it. To me, this quote captures an essential aspect of Dr. Luke Wood's mentorship and his leadership. It does not dismiss uncertainty or fear, nor does it ignore the recognition of seemingly insurmountable barriers. These are not disqualifiers, but the conditions under which leaders demonstrate resilience. As Senate Chair, I've seen many of those barriers. However, I've also witnessed a leader who, despite those obstacles, leads with courage and determination to address them, advancing while fully understanding what is at stake. He leads as a steward of this university. His courage is shaped by this place and by his deep commitment to Sacramento State's future. Please join me in welcoming our president, Dr. Luke Wood, to the stage.
Good morning. Good to see everyone today. Even though it seems like only a moment has passed since we gathered here for the fall address, when I introduced the presidential imperatives, it was in fact a whole semester ago. Enough time that you might not remember the details of each imperative, so I thought I'd start out with a quick refresher before we dive into today's conversation. The first imperative was learning with an academic and community ROI, or return on investment. We want to ensure that when students invest their money, time, energy, and other resources into higher education at Sacramento State, their investment results in upward economic mobility, a more pronounced positive impact on the community, and more opportunities for career growth and personal fulfillment. Our second imperative is developing financial sustainability and independence. We cannot maximize the long-term success of our students, faculty, and staff without the ability to withstand the unpredictable nature of state funding. We must be innovative and stay one step ahead if we're going to protect our ability to serve students. Our third imperative is to make Sacramento State a national brand. Name recognition is more than just about a flex. It's about communicating who we are and what we value to a broader audience. With greater name recognition comes greater opportunities for our students. Finally, our fourth imperative, creating an environment of hope and dignity. Feels like that should require no additional explanation, but the current political landscape makes us have to say that hope and dignity is not a given. They must be cultivated. It must be nurtured. And at Sacramento State, we are committed to cultivating hope and dignity by actively centering those who've been forced into the margins. As a campus community, all of us, managers, faculty, and staff, spent the fall semester working collectively and within our individual roles to move these imperatives forward. And we've been making progress. Now, halfway through the academic year, it feels like an appropriate time to check in. We have navigated difficult waters, and more challenges lie ahead. But I can tell you, we're doing well. We're growing. We're thriving. We're moving and shaking. So let's check in on our imperatives, and let's start out with learning with an academic and community return on investment. I'm thrilled to share that Sacramento State has once again received the honor of being recognized with the 2026 Carnegie Classification for Community Engagement. So we are one of only 237 institutions of higher education in the entire country who have received this honor out of over 6,000 colleges and universities. That's just below 4%, which means that we are in rare company. Please join me in thanking Dr. Erin Rose Ellison and Dr. Chong Cho Smith, who authored our application for recertification, and the many others who served on the steering committee in their capacities for their excellent work. Receiving this acknowledgement means that the Carnegie Foundation recognizes and respects what we're doing to strengthen the bond between Sacramento State and our region. Our students participated in over 914,000 hours of community-engaged research and service project. That's incredibly impressive. We've gifted our region with over $36.5 million through service learning. Our community engagement practices not only contribute to improved retention and graduation rates, but they regularly pave the way for employment post-graduation. To the faculty, staff, and administrators who support experiential learning, you have my admiration and gratitude. This Carnegie honor belongs to you. On a related note, I wanted to take a moment to highlight the team in our Career Center. If they're there here, can they please stand up, folks from Career? Are they in the room? Oh, there we go. There you are. They do incredible work to prepare our students for success in the workforce. Our Career Center is largely grant funded, and you should know has experienced substantial loss of federal support in multiple staff positions. So they have in fact supported more than 13,700 students with year-over-year growth with engagement under conditions in which resources and bandwidth are stretched to their limit. And it has been truly remarkable what they have done. But it's not sustainable. As such, we are committed to finding the funding and the support necessary for these crucial services. We will do that. Career is here to stay. In other exciting news, back in December, the Placer County Board of Supervisors approved the release of $2.5 million to begin the design build phase for the first structure for the Sacramento State Placer campus, a state-of-the-art forensic science lab. In this lab, Sacramento State students will have experiential learning opportunities where they'll bridge the gap between theory and practice in the forensic sciences. Because the lab will function as an active crime lab for Placer County cases, our students will learn from the front row, simultaneously building career-ready skills and life-changing relationships with influential professionals in the field. Now let's move to our second imperative, developing financial sustainability and independence. And what better place to begin with than to talk about the current state of our budget? Now, if you've been at Sacramento State for more than a few years, you know that the budget update usually translates to brace yourself for bad news. But today, we do actually have some encouraging news. Earlier this month, Governor Gavin Newsom released his proposed budget for 26-27. If budget documents truly reveal our values, then this proposal is evidence that our governor values what we do in the California State University and recognizes the essential role our system plays in providing access to higher education, advancing equity, and supporting California's workforce and economy, roles that Sacramento State exemplifies every single day. The governor's proposal includes at least $366 million in new ongoing funding for the system. This amount breaks down into two parts, $265 million for the fifth and final year of the multi-year compact, that's full funding, and $101 million towards restoring the fourth year of the compact funding that was deferred this fiscal year. So yes, as costs continue to rise, financial constraints will persist for Sacramento State, but this proposal is genuinely encouraging. Of course, we're all from Sacramento, so we get this. It's important to understand that this is the beginning of the budget process, not the end. In May, the governor will release his May revision, which will reflect updated revenue forecasts. Then the legislature will engage in negotiations that continue through midsummer before they pass a final budget bill. If approved, this funding strengthens our ability to do what we do best: drive economic mobility, fuel regional growth, and prepare our workforce, particularly for the first-generation low-income and historically underserved students who are at the heart of our mission. It allows us to maintain our momentum on initiatives that define us, delivering transformational educational experiences for our students. And speaking of our students, there's also good news to report in terms of our enrollment. As of yesterday, we had 28,356 students enrolled, and we expect that number to grow well over 30,000 as we move closer to the beginning of instruction. We are on track once again to have record spring enrollment. Our enrollment management team has pushed their efforts into overdrive. For all those who are part of our admissions and records and registrar and that entire area, we're grateful for your hard work. We still currently have 39,000 open seats available across various course sections, and Provost Cameron and the deans are in the process of opening up another 40 new course sections in high demand areas based on current waitlist information. If you're opted out of the waitlist, just know that it's hard for us to then know that there's a pressure in that area to address that. Something to keep in mind for the future. We're also excited to once again offer Hornet Fast Track courses, an additional 50 accelerated sessions during the second 8 weeks of the semester. Through all these efforts, we are meeting and exceeding our enrollment goals, which is wonderful since enrollment growth is an indicator of institutional health and progress towards our financial sustainability, and also wonderful because it's bucking the trend in terms of what's taking place in Northern California with other universities. We are increasing and we are rising when others are struggling. So we do have that to be grateful for. We're also seeing progress downtown. Our plans to establish a new downtown Capitol campus are moving forward. This landmark project will integrate both public and private uses that support education, housing, workforce development, innovation, hospitality, and cultural vitality, all while serving the needs of downtown Sacramento and the broader region. We'd like to thank the state of California, the Department of General Services, and our very own Sacramento State alumnus, Jason Kinney, who's here with us today. Let's give him a round of applause. For helping us move this forward. And also appreciate Scott Ford for being here too. Our goal of financial sustainability is linked to our third imperative, making Sacramento State a national brand. Here's the thing. Yes, we want name recognition. We want to be secure in the knowledge that learners in St. Louis, Missouri, or Phoenix, Arizona, or San Antonio, Texas, or Juneau, Alaska have heard about Sacramento State. Name recognition matters, and it translates into support for the funding sources that allow us to offer our students our very best across all measures. But it's not enough just to be known. We want that, and we want to be known for what we do better than anyone else. And there's lots of things that we do better than anyone else. The University of Pennsylvania is known for business. Florida is known for entomology, and Yale is known for drama. Double meaning. We're ready for that level of recognition. We want people nationwide and internationally to know about the Hornets. But more importantly, we want people to know where Hornets excel. We want that high school student in St. Louis who's been making documentaries in her basement to know about Sacramento State's film program because she grew up watching our alum, Joe Carnahan's film, which, by the way, currently holds the #1 spot on Netflix. We want that community college student in Phoenix, Arizona, who has dreams of becoming a Supreme Court justice, to know about our criminal justice program here at Sacramento State. And that's no stretch at all, since our criminal justice program is one of the largest in the entire nation. We want that person in San Antonio who's burned out on their career and wants to know how we can support non-traditional students here at Sacramento State who may be looking at their next career. Maybe they dreamed of becoming a nurse, and Sacramento State's nursing program is where they can make their dreams come true. We want that student in Juneau, Alaska to fixate on Sacramento State, and not just because we're warmer. Visualizing himself as graduating with a degree in public policy or as an alum of our amazing Capital Fellows program. Because change makers across the nation come to California, and change makers across California come to Sacramento. Stanford may have tech, Harvard may have prestige, but Sacramento State has proximity to power. And with great power comes great responsibility. We're proud to be a statewide, national, and global beacon, calling out all who are seeking the intersection of excellence and value. We are the North Star of the West for many reasons. While other universities across the nation and in our own state turn away from the principles of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, we remain steadfast. We refuse to back away from programs like Guardian Scholars, Project Rebound, Cooper Woodson College Enhancement Program, or the College Assistant Migrant Program. We won't back away from services like our ASI Food Pantry or our Basic Needs Center, which is already serving over 1,000 students a week. We won't back away from our micro colleges like the Black Honors College or Willaytu Native American College. We must each do our part to maintain our institutional identity. Our unity must be louder. I want to assure you that our efforts to attract talent from across our region will never displace our local students. The Sacramento region's best and brightest will always have a seat at the table at Sacramento State. But we owe it to our local students to give them every benefit that comes with learning in a diverse environment, and those benefits are many. Our diversity is truly a gift and essential to how we approach our fourth imperative, creating an environment of hope and dignity. Diversity is the altos, tenors, and sopranos coming together in a song, creating soul-stirring harmonies. Diversity is one point of focus being captured by multiple cameras at multiple angles. Diversity is stories from traditions familiar and foreign, shared around a table or fire. If you ask me, it's the sculptors, musicians, writers, dancers, and designers who best understand the advantages that accompany diversity. If anyone gets the diversity, it's the artists. So I would like to enlist our campus creatives as ambassadors of hope and dignity. At Sacramento State, 2026 will be the year of the arts, and we will be celebrating and elevating our amazing programs and faculty in music, theater, art, dance, and film. You might be wondering why I'm calling for a focus on the arts. And it's not just because I'm a terrible musician. This focus allows for us to take advantage of the real practical benefits that come from the process of creating and consuming art. Art supercharges creative and critical thinking. It boosts emotional intelligence. It promotes civic engagement and cultural awareness. These are the characteristics we want in our graduates. If we want to create an environment of hope and dignity, we must embrace the arts and the way art absolutely explodes the vocabulary we can use to counter dominant narratives. Hornet alumnus Ryan Coogler is a perfect example of what I mean. I can't explain how sweet it was this morning to wake up to news that Coogler's Film Centers had broken the record for the most Oscar nominations for a single film ever. At 16 nominations, that's more than All About Eve, that's more than La La Land, that's even more than the Titanic. Hornets making history. Huge congratulations to Ryan Coogler. Now, if you haven't seen Sinners and you look it up, it might just appear to be another vampire movie. But people who appreciate the artistry involved in creating this film receive it as much more than a 16-time Oscar-nominated film. Sinners is a sermon on cultural appropriation, the forgotten figures of the Jim Crow South, and the transcendent properties of the juke joint blues. It is also a master class on media technology and entertainment industry politics. It is a work of art that sparked discussions and dissertations, clever fictions, and uncomfortable truths. At Sacramento State, we pride ourselves in our willingness to engage in these conversations, to confront the falsehood, and to empower the truth tellers. This semester, we're beginning these art-driven discourses on every corner of our campus, and I encourage you to participate as much as you possibly can. Show your support for our dance and music students as they collaborate on weekly performances that will begin at the end of February on the pergolas around campus. Attend the J Street Film Festival. Go make something at the Stinger Studio Makerspace. Buy something from our student entrepreneurs at the University Union pop-up shop, which is just right around the corner. And stay tuned to find out what happens when Sacramento State's academic and cultural strengths combined with Capital Public Radio's reach and storytelling, and an exciting new project that will have to remain somewhat mysterious for right now. I wish I could tell you. This year of the arts will pull our imperatives together so that we can act in concert, pun intended. By embracing our creativity and centering the arts, we will realize new avenues for academic excellence and community impact. We will uncover hidden ways to finance our mission. We will paint our name on surfaces and hearts across our region, the country, and beyond. And we will fuel our efforts with belongingness and justice in mind. Now more than ever before, I'm hopeful that we can all work together as one hive, one home. We're gonna have an incredible spring semester, Hornets. Now, before we close, I want to share one other thing with you. For the first time since my presidency began in July 16th of 2023, our cabinet has permanent leadership across all divisions, a critical milestone that ensures aligned vision, sustained momentum, and the stability we need to execute our strategic initiatives without the disruption of ongoing searches or leadership transitions. Permanent leadership brings deeper institutional commitment and the continuity essential for tackling complex challenges like enrollment growth and long-term budget planning. So rather than me talking to you for another 20 minutes, and remember, I'm a former professor, so I can talk, I'm gonna ask Dr. Kristen Tudor, who is our Chief of Staff, to introduce 4 of our cabinet members, 2 of whom are new to Sacramento State, and 2 who are in new positions as vice presidents. She'll facilitate a brief conversation in which these cabinet members will explain their roles and the role that they play in helping to advance these imperatives. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Kristen Hamilton Tudor to the stage.
Good morning. While they move the podium out of our way from our lovely chairs up here, once again, introduce myself. I'm Kristen Tudor. I have the honor of having been here at Sacramento State for nearly 23 years now, the first 18 of which I was faculty in communication studies. I'm really pleased to be here today to have the opportunity to introduce you to 4 of my colleagues on our cabinet. Our newest addition to the cabinet joined us late last year. Please join me in welcoming to the stage our new Vice President for Strategic Enrollment Management, Dr. Matt Ward. We're also thrilled that we were able to bring back to Sacramento State Rose McAuliffe, who's joined us once again, but this time as our Vice President for Administration and Business Affairs and CFO. Rose previously ran our budget team before leaving us to be CFO of Stanislaus State 3 years ago. She also has the distinction of serving in that role for both campuses currently. So please welcome her. Though she's been an integral part of our leadership team for just about 7 years now, Michelle Martin recently became Vice President of our newly formed Division of People and Climate. Please welcome Michelle Martin to the stage. And finally, after stepping up to serve as interim vice president for inclusive excellence, this past summer, Dr. Michael Nguyen became vice president permanently of our Division of Inclusive Excellence. Please welcome Dr. Nguyen. So thank you all for joining us on stage today. I'm really excited for folks to have the opportunity to get to know you and to get to know a little bit about what you do in terms of moving these strategic imperatives forward for the university. So I thought we'd start out. Is your mic okay?
I don't know.
Oh, yep. I thought we'd start out by asking you to tell us a little bit about your identity, your life experience, and how they inform the work that you do here at Sacramento State. And I'm going to start with Matt, Dr. Ward, since he's our newest cabinet member.
Yeah, Matt's great. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Started December 1st, and it's been such a pleasure getting to know this community. I was born and raised in Southern California and had kind of a circuitous path through Wyoming, Florida, Mexico, and then back to Southern California. I grew up as a curious kid. I went out of state to school at University of Wyoming and immediately got into admission work when I was there. And it was when I was recruiting in the middle of Wyoming and got to know the Eastern Shoshone people and the Northern Arapaho people that part of my heart and mind kind of connected to an access mission and the kind of way that I wanted to operate as an administrator. Those were the inchoate stages of my career that eventually blossomed at the University of Miami and beyond to recognize that building an access mission for justice is part of who I am and what I want to do. But later in my career, learning that supporting students, the belonging and dignity of students is also about equity. And that is something that I found matches up well in terms of my personal mission and what Sac State is all about.
I love that access mission. You heard him say that a couple of times, and that's why he so perfectly fits with us here at Sacramento State. Rose.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Just so thrilled to be back at Sacramento State. I am born and raised in Sacramento, and at a very young age, I actually had the opportunity to help a family. They were trying to purchase just some groceries at the grocery store, and the clerk was very unkind to them because they did not speak English. So I don't know what came over me, but at 10 years old, I jumped in and served as a translator because I speak both Spanish and English, and kind of gave that lady her rights, served her rights, saying, you don't get to treat people like that, you know. And so it was empowering for me that education, knowledge, knowing more than one language is a strength, and our diversity is our strength. Sac State is a pillar of that. We have so much richness here, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. My background as a Latina and witnessing firsthand some of the struggles of being diverse and unique inspires me in this education. Education is something that no one can take away from you, and Sac State serves as a beacon of hope for me, and it just resonates with who I am as a person and as a core value, the way I was raised. So thank you.
I think you can see why we're so grateful to have her back. Michelle.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I also have been living in the Sacramento area for a long time, been here since high school, finished high school here. Some of you may or may not know that I've also made it Sac State, got my undergraduate degree here. Arts and letters.
What major, Michelle? What major were you?
Communication studies. But I'll just say that, you know, I've never viewed what I do as just a job. I truly do enjoy the work that I do. And I know a lot of times people say, human resource. I enjoy the work that I do. I really do. And it's been a really good career. And so I've had the opportunity to work for multiple organizations, both in the private sector and public sector, different industries. And along the way, I've had the opportunity to support a variety of customers and form partnerships and provided support. And so what that has taught me is that the importance of really understanding the needs of my customers, really understanding what they need, and being able to provide them with viable options or solutions, or really a path forward in order for them to meet their objectives. And so that's what I really enjoy doing. And then I would say at the core of everything that I do is do the right thing. I strongly believe in doing the right thing, and that really has guided me over my career. And so it forms or shapes my decision-making, helps me with challenges, helps build trust and relationships. And so that's what guides me.
Thanks. And I think we'll hear a little more later about this division of people and climate. Michael.
It's wonderful to be in community with you all. So my journey is far from traditional. I get bored quite easily. I have not ever lived in one place ever since I was a child for more than 3 years. I have never worked at an individual institution for more than 3 years until now. So every day we are breaking a personal record at Sac State, which I am grateful for. So let's give you my family, right? They're refugees from Vietnam. And I was born in East Oakland, also was former foster youth. And also a big part that has shaped my identity is when my family came here, we worked in restaurants. So I remember being 4, helping peel shrimp and carrots to help make egg rolls. And to this day, even though President Wood is a pretty demanding and tough boss, my mama ain't nobody gonna be tough for my mama. So to this day, working in restaurants is the toughest job I've ever had. And after that, after dropping out of high school, my first experience with Sacramento was American River College. Oh, completely transformed my life. Being a transfer student and learning, I didn't know what psychology was until I went to American River College, and that was one of the most key experiences for me in higher education. So after American River College, I worked in an organization in South Central Los Angeles, and it was helping increase multicultural competency throughout the healthcare system in the entire state of California. That was for just 1 year because the grant ended. Then I worked in law. This was in litigation research, to where my responsibility was to help teach and inform the counsel and jurors about different cultures and help inform them so that they, understood their biases. And then after that, probably the most exciting for most is I worked in gaming. So if you've Googled me before, which I often do, just kidding, I've worked on World of Warcraft, right, which is one of the largest, and most successful games in history. Also on Guitar Hero, Rock Band. And my job was across the entire globe. I need to understand the different cultures so that we developed a product that people wanted to spend their time and money on. So it's all about being culturally grounded in what we do. So something we developed, whether it was for Vietnam, Brazil, or Canada, we did not treat everyone the same. So those jobs, especially entertainment, it filled my bank account, but not my soul account, which was really tough because you already know my upbringing. I finally felt like I've made it. I'm not worried about rent, paying bills. Sought out mentors in higher ed, and they told me, you ain't got no kids, you ain't married, you don't got no mortgage, you might want to find your purpose. So I quit it all. Traveled throughout South America to work and learn Spanish, and then applied to doctorate programs, moved to Georgia, started at Emory, and got my PhD in cross-cultural psychology, and then became faculty at Georgia Tech, and then moved back to California. And my first CSU was Cal State San Bernardino, followed by Cal Poly SLO, and then now Sacramento State. And I'm here to stay because I love it here.
Well, I'm glad that you ended that way, because when you started with that, I tend to leave quickly. I'm like, no, thank you. we just announced this permanent cabinet. So I'm going to ask us to focus a little bit on the imperatives that President Wood discussed and that we've been talking a lot about in cabinet. I'm going to ask each of you to highlight 1 or 2 of the imperatives that are central to your division's work, and maybe give a concrete example, if you can, about how you and your team move those imperatives forward. And I'm going to hand it back over to you, Matt.
Thank you. So I think a couple of them that really overlap, this idea of financial independence, building up markets outside of the region. Sac State is about 1% domestic out of state and about 2% international. And while we want to make sure that we are grounded in the work of serving California students, local students, there is an opportunity for Sac State to build its brand in new markets. So one of the things that I'm energized about is exploring and doing the research to understand where we can do recruitment, marketing, and brand building further afield from where we historically bring students in. So that also informs kind of the broader branding strategy, and working with my colleagues across the campus and the university to look at the why of Sac State, and to not only go after recognition, but to consider the attributes that we want people to associate with Sac State. There are so many beautiful things about this place that we need to broadcast, and admission, marketing, is the tip of the sword with this kind of work. But it really takes a community singing in chorus to build that brand that we want, and to be able to attract the students from Juneau, Phoenix, St. Louis, and abroad, and in San Antonio. Thank you, and beyond.
Thanks. I love that. Rose.
I'm excited about all of them, but I'll talk about one of them, and that is really getting Sac State to be that national brand. We're right there. We're right there. We're about to go viral, and so we all need to be ready. Get ready for this. We're an amazing organization. What's really exciting is just, pushing our athletes. I don't know if you all know this, but students that participate in college at the college level, their chances of becoming leader are, I think, almost 100%. So we pushing that with our sports and our athletes, and creating that college experience through our athletic experience here on campus is very attractive to students, and it's very exciting. So I'm excited about that, to leverage that with our national presence, and tying that into the academic structure that we have here. We are a go-to university, and we are the capital of California. So I'm excited about being a part of that. I've been working collaboratively with Michelle Willard and pushing that through, getting our presence at the Capitol. And so that's kind of some of the things that my division is doing on the financial side. It's tying that, supporting that infrastructure. There's a lot of competing priorities, and so my team works really hard to balance all that.
Thanks, Rose. And I think what you talked about in terms of athletics, it's sometimes we don't realize that participation in athletics, whether it's NCAA athletics, club, rec, that is experiential learning for our students. And there's a lot of data to support what you said about the fact that these folks are going to have more opportunity, and they excel more in terms of leadership positions, because we all know that participation in sport, it teaches leadership skills. It's one of the many ways that you can learn those skills. Thanks. Michelle.
Yes, I've been working on two initiatives under imperative number 4, which is foster an environment of dignity and hope. But I'm going to talk about just one, which is cut the red tape. And so this is an initiative that I've been partnering with Mark Hendricks, who is the Vice President of Information Resources and Technology. It is certainly a work in progress. It is a journey. It is a journey. But we've actually made a lot of progress, and we're moving into what I'm going to call phase 2. And so we have a governance committee, because we know that we need to keep this work going, and we need people to keep the work going. And so we'll be expanding the membership or participants a little bit to make sure we have more representation across campus. We're finalizing a charter. We actually have a meeting this Friday. And we know that there's already a number of existing opportunities that we need to leverage. The majority are on workflows that we can automate and forms that we can automate. Another thing that you'll be hearing about later this semester is learning opportunities for staff to learn about process mapping. And the reason for that is that the people that do the work are closer to, they understand what needs to be done, and learning a skill of process mapping is really going to be helpful for us to improve the workflow, and again, decrease the burden on staff in doing the day-to-day work.
We're all excited about the progress of the Cut the Red Tape Committee. I see a lot of heads nodding. I remember during our listening sessions hearing this come up again and again, and I knew because I had been here for 2 decades. But as President Wood said, our bureaucracy here is impressive. Thank you for making it less so. Michael.
It brought me great joy in the fall address when President Wood mentioned creating an environment of hope dignity, and belonging. Hope, dignity, and belonging, right? They become real when people can feel it in how they're being treated. That's critical. And for me, it raises a deeper question, right? Does this place give people permission to be whole without fear, without explanation, and without apology, while holding us accountable to how we show up for one another? And in Inclusive Excellence, we've approached this in a number of practical and human-centered ways, right? We've led the collective access and inclusive event planning policy alongside our ASL interpreting services folks. When we do that, we're saying that access should never depend on who feels comfortable asking. It should already be here. When the university adopted a presidential policy affirming dignity, safety, and freedom of expression of transgender, non-binary, and intersex members of our community, it gave structure to compassion that many people had already been practicing quietly for years. And this past June, when Sacramento State raised the pride flag for the very first time, and when our community marched together in pride to the state capitol, something shifted. For many, that moment meant something very quiet and profound. The question finally disappeared. They no longer asked, do I belong here? They could simply be here.
Thanks. Yeah. So I'm going to turn to collaboration, and that's really, you lead your divisions, but your divisions don't exist in silos, right? They're very interdependent. And so what I want you to focus on now is sharing examples of how you're already collaborating across divisions, or maybe it's where you see future opportunities to work together. And rather than dumping this one right on Matt, maybe I'll just say, who wants to grab this? Okay, go.
I'll go. Sure. So December 1st was the start date. So lot to learn, much to prioritize. But immediately out of the gate, particularly with the start of the spring semester, President Wood asked a few of my cabinet colleagues and I to look at the course schedule and think about the optimization, if we want to use that term, but how do we do better in terms of understanding our capacity for classes? How do we think about the future and kind of multi-year forecasting of what the student needs are? I think one of the things that I bring to the table is I have a real nerdy side, and I'm very analytical and like to use data to build out structures that support student success. And one of the things that we want to be able to do is better forecast using technology, considering the business analytics, and what it means for faculty and those who support the course schedule and its build out to make sure that we're bringing the right courses at the right time, in the right spaces, in the right modalities. So that's something that I think has great future here. That's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be something that's going to be delivered overnight. So I feel like enrollment management as a profession, as a practice, is really about connective tissue around the university. So my work does not exist independent of any unit around the campus, because my job is to consider the student life cycle across all of these different things that we're asking students to do. And when we're asking a first generation student to come to a place like Sac State that is a big institution, we want to reduce barriers and friction and get them in the learning spaces in the smoothest way possible. So one concrete example of this is really looking at how we organize the course schedule and courses, but there's lots of other things that I look forward to working on across divisions.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, he took mine because I was going to say the same thing. No. I was on that team, and I have to say I was so impressed with our CIO, Mark Hendricks. our provost, Erica, thank you, and to you as well, Matt, and of course myself now. We worked really hard to optimize that course schedule. What was so exciting was that we were also passionate about trying to find that solution for our students. How do we get the absolute maximum number of classes available, optimize that course schedule so we could satisfy that student demand and get our students to across that finish line in graduation. So I was, in the short time that I've been here, I'm so impressed with the collaboration that we have at Sac State. It's one of the reasons I wanted to come back, because everybody is in it together, and there's that passion around it. I am actually currently serving as a CFO at both Stanislaus State and Sacramento State, and so to answer this question, I am leveraging that knowledge at both campuses. We're optimizing, we're in the process of really looking at the contract process management, and so we want to utilize and leverage the strengths across, actually we're working on 3 campuses, Fresno, Sacramento, and Stanislaus, to optimize our back office operations so we can save money and optimize our resources. So we're looking at that right now. The finance and accounting team at all CSUs are working to optimize the procure to pay process, which is at the CSU level, and it's been a huge lift, but it's going to end up optimizing our back office operations, which will allow us to save money and maybe redirect some of those resources to somewhere else, to programs for our students, to support our faculty in their professional development. And there's so many competing resources that are needed and priorities on this campus. So any way that we can optimize our operational efficiencies, we're trying to do that, and that's just some of them. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I know there's so much, I've seen the team at work, this team, and with some of our other leaders, there's so much data that we haven't been utilizing that we can be. And it's been really great to see how everyone's identified what we need to know more of before we can really maximize for our students the courses we're offering and use our limited budgets more efficiently. And Michelle.
Yeah, so yeah, Matt just joined us, but he already is moving full speed ahead. We've had some conversations about finding niche talent that is definitely needed in enrollment management, and so that's definitely an area of opportunity for us to work together moving forward, because we have to get creative in finding this talent. Rose and I interact on a regular basis. Primarily, it's sharing and validating data that's used for a number of different reasons. And I think about Michael here. He and I have partnered. Some of the work crosses over, primarily in working through employee issues, and there might be resources that Inclusive Excellence has been able to provide. And so we definitely know when to reach out and then support each other.
Thank you.
My goodness, I really feel incredibly fortunate to have such amazing colleagues. So as you heard Matt, Rose, and even Michelle mention, right, we don't work in silos. Right? Strong institutions aren't built by individual parts, right? They're built by how those parts move together. So we see that in many parts of Inclusive Excellence. By design, no one in Inclusive Excellence works in silos. So we have a process called community sourcing. So something as simple as many have, that you know, we have SAC sends, right? There's one message sent by a division out to everybody. No individual writes it alone. So when we write something, let's say for Pride Month, it will go out to our Presidential Advisory Council, our LGBTQIA+. They will help us make it better. We'll work with the Pride Center. We'll work with community organizations. We'll work with faculty. We'll work with student affairs. It goes on and on. Just something as seemingly simple as a SAC send. We don't do work in silos. We also started our inaugural, about a year and a half ago, Hispanic Serving Institution Office, right, which helps our institution move beyond designation towards servingness. There, we could not do our work without El Centro Serna, without our Dreamers Resource Center, right? And then working alongside, you know, my colleagues up here, are related to Native American College. Same thing. None of this is done alone. We have the Asaktima Center, who's they're right next to us in collaboration. And a big part I'd also want to mention, working with Michelle, which is amazing. There are many things HR does that is important and necessary compliance, but we work alongside one another to make sure that compliance has compassion. And that's so, so key in going back to that hope, dignity, right? So the big part I believe that we do together, not only with my colleagues up here, but also the entire cabinet, is we help the institution grow its capacity when it comes to having compassion, respect, and also understanding across differences to make us better. And we can't do that alone, right? And work in silos.
And we really value that idea of getting multiple perspectives and voices in the messaging that goes out, especially messages that are meant to reflect institutional values. I don't know how we could otherwise do it. I want to do one last question and save some time for folks to network. Let's end by having you share one thing that the community might not know or understand about your division, something that might not be obvious, or maybe it's one way that we can partner with you and the folks in your division to advance shared goals and imperatives. Matt.
Sure. So enrollment management has been around at Sac State for a while, though I think very often it is misunderstood in terms of what enrollment management is. And I like to think about it two ways. One is it has an administrative function. Very often enrollment management gets associated with admission, financial aid, and bringing students in. But when it's done well, again, I get back to the student life cycle and how we all work together and think strategically about not only what it means to bring students in and to set up an environment for that onboarding that brings them into an inclusive place that focuses on excellence and connects people to the community. And the area that I oversee has a lot of transactional components as well that tie into so many aspects of the university. And the way I look at it is if you don't feel those transactions or see those transactions or bottlenecks, then we're doing our job. The units that I oversee, admission, financial aid, registration and records, and the Student Success Center, I think this place has been very progressive in setting up a one-stop shop and developing a collaborative structure. But I also look at the opportunity to evolve the work that we do. I'm very focused on building strong relationships with faculty. Moving into an institution like this from a smaller place, I feel like is a great opportunity for me to address some of the things that are opportunities to institute at scale, and we have a great template here and a great community for it.
Agreed. Rose.
The Administration and Business Affairs Division is kind of, back office, nuts and bolts type of operation. We have UPD, we have the facilities team, we have accounting and budgeting, and there's just kind of a lot of the operational back of the office type of work. So like Matt was saying, you don't necessarily always see them, but we have a lot of long-standing employees that have been here for a really long time that are super committed and loyal to Sac State. So I'm very thankful for the employees and the team. And they work really hard to keep the campus beautiful. A lot of those leaves, they take care of all that, keep us safe. And the operations team does a really great job of keeping our campus beautiful. It's one of the things that I always hear that we're complimented on. So when you see that, it's that team behind the scenes that is the work behind that. So thank you.
I think those of us who work closely with you take for granted, or with your team, that ABA is well known. And I can attest, though, that as a faculty member, there were many years, maybe even a decade, where I would have been like, the who, the what, the ABA, I have no idea what that is. And yet you were really impacting my world and my students. Yep. Michelle.
Yes, I think sometimes there might be a misconception that a single department in and of itself is responsible solely for compliance. And so when I think about this newly formed division, Human Resources, Risk Management, and the Office of Equal Opportunity, we're a combined team to where the functions that we manage, really everyone in this room has some level of shared responsibility. The responsibility is not the same, but there's some level of shared responsibility. So just say that when it comes to compliance, it really provides some level of predictability. And when you know what's going to happen, for instance, if you know what the reporting protocol is to report something under Title IX or report some safety issue, you can rest assured that people are more relaxed, there's less anxiety, and they can focus on their work or, more importantly, their academics. And so that's the environment that we want to create. So what I would say to you is if you know something, say something, because if you know something and you say something, then we can do something about it. And then just closing, I would just say that, you know, the team works really, really hard. Honestly, all of them, they provide a service to the entire campus. So, you know, they are responsible for not just employees, but for students as well. And their services are always in demand. You know, there's really never a downtime. And many of them, for the work that they do, you think about the customers that they greet every day, they all have some urgent situation or something that's very sensitive. And so I just want to thank them for the work that they do, because they really do provide a great service to campus, to where it's always on in the background and you make an assumption that when I say it's a slow news day, then that's great because nothing's coming up, right? But they work really hard. And so I just want to give a shout out. And then just in closing, the volume of some of the work that they do. As an example, do you know that we onboard more than 2,000 student assistants every academic year? That's huge. It's a lot. So thank you.
Thank you.
So you've heard me mention working at a lot of institutions, right? And I believe that every institution leaves an imprint on the people who pass through it. So a big part of what we do in Inclusive Excellence is making sure that it's a good and a meaningful one. And I like what Matt mentioned earlier on connective tissue. You know, we had a walking meeting yesterday, and we often think about institutions like the human body, right? Bones give us structure, organs do the specialized work. But what allows the body to move, to heal, and to respond with compassion is the connective tissue. So what's really important about this connective tissue is when it's healthy, you don't notice it. When it's strained or missing, people feel it everywhere. So for us, we really want to make sure that a key part of this is, you've heard of a concept called belonging, right? We hear a lot of, and how we define inclusive excellence is belonging means being seen without being reduced, heard without having to shout, and valued without having to prove your worth, respected without condition, and feeling a genuine sense of pride in the institution you call your hive in your home.
Thanks, Michael. Our leadership team is incredibly lucky to have all of you here. Our leadership team is made up of other folks who are right up here. Give a wave if you're cabinet up here, who also bring, these values and this commitment and this expertise to our Hornet family and the work that we do every day. And I hope that you'll all have the opportunity to get to know them a little bit better throughout the semester. We do now have an opportunity for you to get to know them. We've got a little bit of time for networking. So thank you all once again. Thank you everyone for coming. Thanks again to the team in University Events and Metro Media who makes this happen, and the whole community for being here. And take your opportunity to get a Carnegie cookie. They're out there. They're cute and they're celebratory. Have a good one. Thanks.